Chelsea, Liverpool, and City all cruised to victories, but United struggled, drawing to Southampton at St. Mary's. It may be early, but with a Spurs win over Wolves and Arsenal losing their London derby to Chelsea, North London is white. Oh, and the Hammers win big over Leicester. So wait, are Arsenal now the 5th best team in London? We down here in the Rat Tail Bunker and Barbershop Studio, and this is the Boys in Bolos podcast. Welcome back to the Boys in Bolos podcast. Jarrett, week 2 is over in the books. Did I get that one right this time?
You got that one right.
Got it right.
It's phenomenal.
Thank you.
It's like you've done this before.
It's a momentous occasion. You know why?
Why?
We have our second in-studio guest today.
Our second in-studio guest. Insert applause. Cam, welcome to the Boys and Bolos.
Thank you, fellas, for having me.
It's nice to have an in-studio guest. It's actually like kind of weird because normally we're so used to having literal digital distance and we just stare at a screen and then somebody, comes in from California or wherever they are, but you're here, you're local. The story about Cam going on the podcast is he works at the gym that I go to, and I saw you had a Liverpool jersey, and I was like, hey, you want to come on my podcast? You want to come down in a basement with a guy I know and talk about footy?
What kind of a proposition is that?
Exactly. Let's not sell Cam's work too short. It's an athletic club.
No, it's a premier athletic club in the North Shore, for sure. Yeah.
All right.
And he's big boss. Don't
want a short shrift to the place of employment.
No, not at all.
Gym sounds like a place you go to, like
it sounds
a basement where there's like a few weights.
It sounds like not your average Joe's. He's definitely in the Globo gym.
Oh no, you mean average Joe's?
Is it
not your average?
Not your Joe's is a restaurant. Average Joe's.
Average
Joe's. Good thing we all got the reference to dodgeball. But anyways, he would be more of a Ben Stiller in Global Gym, really pushing people to be the best that they can be.
We're really a wellness facility. It's focused on living healthy, improving your life, improving your habits, and pulling in a positive direction.
See, there we go.
Wow.
But welcome, Cam. Would you like to inform our guests what team you support?
I'm a Liverpool fan. I've been since I was 6 years old.
Wow.
6?
Well, so yeah, okay. So at 6 years old, you made the decision that would probably, tell you the rest of your life. Oh, it was made for you.
It was made for me.
Oh, tell us more.
Not intentionally. I was in Disneyland at the England Center in Epcot, and they have a Liverpool store there. And I was given that 2008 Fernando Torres jersey, and it's been from there on out. I was a fan. And then when I finally started watching, it was Kenny Dalglish running up and down the sideline, celebrating goals. And I was like, what is this 80-year-old man doing running like that? He doesn't look physically sound, and yet he's motivated to run up and down the pitch like that. So that's what really got me interested in it. Little did I know they were about to get purchased by Fenway Sports Group and become a part of that New England fanfare. So all worked out.
It did all work out.
It does have a local connection. I do appreciate it.
It does have a local connection, which is cool. And Cam, I actually may know the answer to this, but I want to just be sure. You're from the North Shore.
I'm from Rhode Island.
Fun facts from Rhode Island.
I'm from Portsmouth, Rhode Island. Bonus points if anyone knows where that is.
It's
in Rhode Island?
Yeah, Portsmouth.
I've
been there before.
Rhode Island is one of the states that people forget about in New England, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
When they're listing off New England, they'll leave it off. And I'm like, guys, it's kind of important.
It's a hidden gem.
It is a hidden gem.
Waterdown, Massachusetts, some people call it. But that's unfair.
It's unfair.
I think that's really unfair.
Yeah, you got
it's got things going on, right? I mean, it was so
tremendous
good. Cam
food,
left.
Tremendous restaurants. I left to seek other pastures, but I was afraid of being a townie. But now I'm a townie here, so who really won?
Yeah.
Ooh, Beverly won.
Beverly is the winner.
Beverly
won.
The winner. Deep with townies.
I informed my wife that she was a townie. She didn't take kindly to that.
Why not? She's a deep townie.
She's deep. She's deep in the townie lore.
God, we're not talking about the Prem at all tonight.
No.
Okay,
well, I used to have a negative
it.
connotation to townie, but now there's a respect there. There's a love for your hometown, and that's a positive thing.
It is. Townie is kind of like the word redneck, because a lot of people don't know the redneck doesn't come from actual white people that didn't have to go in the fields in the South after slavery, and then they got rednecks. It actually comes from West Virginia, where they wore red bandanas and they wore them around their neck, and it was basically like a sign of unity and going against big corporations and people who were fighting for unions. So depending upon how you say it and depending upon could be with love or it could be with total disgust.
The townie thing definitely has a negative connotation.
It definitely has
and I can bring it full circle for us guys.
Let's do it.
Go ahead.
Where else do the ultras come from other than your selection of local townies? Where are you going to get the ultras that make being a fan so much fun?
It's true.
That's true. Leeds fans.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
Leeds fans.
Deep townies.
We'll find out all about the deep townies in Brentford this year.
Yeesh, maybe.
Honestly, that Brentford Stadium looks awesome, and Jeff and I are
that's what-
planning.
That's
trip.
what I hope. Like all MLS stadiums are like that Brentford Stadium, like just around 20,000 fans, kind of packed right in. You're on top of the field.
Yeah, we went to the Revs game this past Saturday, my dad and I, and we were just talking, and he was like, it would be so cool if it was just the bottom bowl of Gillette, because it would seem, if it was just the bottom bowl, it would seem 90% full.
Right.
But because it's not, it feels 60% empty. And due to the construction, because it's made like this weird open cornucopia because of football, American football, I guess I should say, the sound doesn't stay.
Yeah.
And it's not all the way around wrapping and a little bit lower, so
A little bit of an echo.
Exactly. But let's get into the Prem. Do you want to talk about Liverpool? What they did this week? Any surprises in the scoreline?
No surprises. That 2-0 win was exactly what was expected. Jota scoring early. That's exactly what we like to see. We want those center forwards popping early because you know what Salah and Mane can do, but it's always that question mark in the middle. So now that they're there, they're firing. I'm as happy as a boy can be.
I'm surprised they didn't score more goals because I picked Burnley. Burnley's one of the teams I picked to relegate, and I just think that because they have nothing going forward, you can really sacrifice numbers going forward against them because you're really not worried about them on the counter. And I was actually surprised. I think I called this 3-0 if we went back and looked.
I agree with you, I think, on that one.
It just felt right after what they did the week before. Do you think that they're going to have problems scoring this year?
I don't think they're going to have problems scoring this year, but I'll agree with you. They should have had more pressure the whole game because Burnley were never going to really challenge them offensively. It was never going to be a real issue for the back four like that. I just don't think they're fully integrated, fully clicking. I think that like the whole center midfield trident, the three of them are still figuring it out. So I think
who's
like,
the trident? Sorry,
it's Keita. It was Henderson this weekend, and then who's the other one? I don't remember who was at the base.
I don't remember.
Who was Elliot, the baby, the child.
See, this is the problem Liverpool I think have, and why I don't think they're title contenders, is they don't have. In order to win the league, I think you need probably 2 out of the front 3, if you play a front 3, to be names that are on the team sheet before the week starts. And you need at least 2 guys in the midfield that are just like those guys, and then we sprinkle on top people around them. They don't have that. They used to have Henderson and...
Well, they have Fabinho, who's yet to come back fully from his international break. Once you get him and you push Henderson forward, Keita is good enough to start every single week. If he keeps doing what he's doing, he's controlling the midfield. He's breaking the lines. He's passing in between the lines, in between with Mane and Jota. And Elliot was a seamless fix. He fit into the system this weekend, which I was really surprised to see.
I also think that Virgil van Dijk coming back, he actually distributes the ball really well.
Huge dynamic.
Huge get this season. And he looks like he's fine. I think his rehab went really well. I think they timed it well. I don't think they rushed him back. He looks fine. He looks solid.
One of the sadder news notices that came out about Liverpool is that Xherdan Shaqiri has left the building.
Oof.
Yeah, he's moved on.
And he's at Lyon or Marseille? He's at Lyon.
Lyon.
So that sucks because I love that man.
He is a great man.
Human
He's a great player.
He was repping for all the other human cubes in life. Big calves. Just the man. Broad shoulders. Squirrel worldies for Switzerland, but not so much for Liverpool.
But if Harvey Elliott can take his place, we're not going to miss him very much.
I mean,
and he's only going to play 80 minutes a weekend.
Yeah, and to be fair, Shaqiri was always periphery. He was kind of like a fill-in. He was like, okay, Henderson's hurt. Maybe Fabinho's out. Keita can't play. Minamino's traded. Let's throw him in there, which is unfortunate. But he's left the league now. What about the Man City Norwich? Anything there? Is Man City? So Jeff, you picked Man City to win the league.
Yeah.
Do you still feel?
No,
good
I picked Chelsea. Did I pick Chelsea? I picked Chelsea.
No, you picked Chelsea to win the league last year, and you picked Man City to win the league this year.
Flipped it.
You flipped it.
I have Chelsea going second.
Do you feel good? I know we're only.
Do I feel good?
Do you feel good in general, and then do you feel good about your pick?
I feel good in general. No, my pick. I'm gonna stick with my pick.
You stick with your pick?
I think they're
gonna.
You
you can't change your pick. I'm just
I think
saying.
before the deadline. No, I'm gonna change that prediction. I think in the January transfer window they're gonna get a striker. Because I think they're not going to be able to get anybody in before the end of this transfer window. And I think they're going to struggle because they're going to need a number 9.
So Kane to City is dead?
Kane to City I don't think is going to happen. I just don't think that the $150 million ask, what Tottenham wants, City's going to fork over the cash. And they kind of price themselves out by signing Grealish for 100.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So I just don't. I think that there's a. I think they thought that Spurs were just going to sell for 100. I don't know why they would think that. Why they would think Levy would just go for 100 and not try to max out, especially with a guy with 3 years.
Once they
left
gave Grealish 100, they had to give Kane minimally 130 because of his numbers. Talent. Yeah. I just think they actually, like you said, they shot themselves in the foot by buying Grealish.
The guy that's going to get 20 goals and maybe 10 to 20 assists versus a guy who's barely scored, 20 goals in the Premier League in his whole career.
Jeff, were you surprised by the Southampton-Manchester United tie? Because I was. I think United just a much better team. And like you said, Southampton's a team that could potentially be facing relegation for a multitude of reasons. Is that something you think we should think more on?
It was a Fred own goal, and I think there was a foul leading up to the play on Bruno Fernandes. And so it probably should have been disallowed. Just the build up of play, there was a foul on Bruno Fernandes that might have pulled everything back. That didn't get reviewed. But, I mean, I don't know. They're not going to play great every week, but they are solid.
This is actually
I didn't pick them to win the league. I don't think they're going to win the league. I think they're going to
but they're going to be competitive.
Third. They're going to be competitive, yeah.
This is something that actually you just pointed out that I hadn't thought about up until now, but really VAR has not played a role in a big role, right? I don't know of any like controversial role, and we've now played 20 games, and I feel like last year, out of every 10 games every week, there was 3 or 4 calls, and sometimes there were multiple calls in one game, where you were kind of like, I don't know. Cam, am I crazy or am I hitting on something that's true? Because I don't feel like VAR has been involved at all.
No, I think you're making a great point. I mean, the gray area that they've included for offsides this year, I think, has made a good change for the league. I mean, looking at Salah's goal this weekend, it feels like it might still be a little tight, but obviously I'm biased. But that's not happening every single game, and the games are still competitive. You're seeing contact being allowed again, like shoulder-to-shoulder contact that you grow up loving, that makes the difference in physicality for the game, that's just being allowed to go on. You're not seeing these silly tit-for-tat fouls. I think it's been a lot smoother this season. Clearly.
I think it's been a lot smoother, and I think the officiating is really letting people play. Because last season, I don't know, like you said, there were ticky-tack fouls. They were just kind of like weak fouls. And when you have weaker fouls and the ref is kind of calling it, like, it just incentivizes diving, in my opinion. But if there's like a contact foul, but it's not something we need to blow the whistle for, I feel like the players are less likely to just thrive on the ground.
Well, then you see a lot more of what Saka was doing in the Arsenal game, where he's throwing his leg out in the penalty box and trying to hit the back of the opponent to go down in the box and get the penalty. Where if we're going to start seeing more of that, we need to start seeing more yellow cards and red cards given, because a couple of those nip that right in the bud for the season.
I don't know why. I can't actually remember when the last time in the Premier League a card was given for simulation or diving. I honestly don't know. And I know we're just 2 weeks into this season, but even when I think about last season, they just don't do that enough. And I completely agree with you that if you are caught, found, even after the game, I think the FA should be able to be like, we saw him, he threw his leg out, he was looking to get some contact into the box. I think that there should, if not a yellow, a yellow, because that will cause accumulation of yellows, and it will ideally stave off people from thinking that that's an okay thing to do, because it obviously kills the game. And I think the Premier League's always been a league that kind of doesn't have as much diving, especially when compared to the Portuguese league, the Spanish league, the Italian league.
Absolutely.
The German, not so much, but the dark arts in the Spanish league are just on another level.
So I do think the VAR impacted the game that happened today, the West Ham Leicester game. Perez got a red card.
I didn't see that. It
was reviewed on VAR after the fact because he stepped on him, and it was a wild challenge. Like, he came in, but the issue that I have with it, and not that the call was wrong per se, is that during the flow of play, when everything's fast and happening, it didn't look like a foul. And I don't think he meant to actually step on the guy's ankle in such a fashion. He was trying to, corral the ball, and it happened fast, and he missed the ball and stepped on the guy's foot, and then when you go look at the monitor and the ref looks at it and it's slowed down, it looks horrible. It looks like just like a crazy challenge. But you could tell like he wasn't even looking at the guy's leg, and it was reckless, but it wasn't. I thought it was a yellow. I didn't think it was a red, but I could see why, because he went studs into the guy's ankle.
Ayoze Perez doesn't also have a history of dirty play.
And it completely changed the game. Like, it was in the 38th minute or something, and it just, at that point, West Ham was up 1-0, and yeah, I don't think Leicester was really going to challenge. I mean, but it became a smackdown by Leicester. I mean, by West Ham. So
it became a smackdown, and
4-1. So.
In the post where Mikel Antonio was talking about his celebration, he was like, "Oh, I haven't really been celebrating as of late because of VAR, because it's just like you don't want to celebrate a goal and then they take it away." So for him to say that, and then the way that he celebrated today, he didn't wait for VAR is what I'm saying. So I think that the players are starting to get used to, hey, the tie is going to go to the runner, and they're making that assumption. And I think after the 20 games we've already seen, I think it's a fair assessment, because it honestly, now that they have fans in the stadium, they can't fuck around with VAR, because if there's a goal and everyone celebrates and then they take it away and then it happens on the other side of the field and the other team gets taken away, the fans are just not going to stand for it. It ruins the product and it ruins the experience. So I think they were able to maybe get away with some. What I'm saying is I think it was good that they were able to experiment and kind of go through some growing pains and like go through puberty with VAR when there were no fans in the stadium, because it would just be horrible to celebrate. And then,
was there an injury this weekend that happened after a late offsides call? Someone getting rammed by a goalie?
You're gonna bring up some old history.
No, like this
really?
week. Yeah.
Like you're being being facetious.
You're not being ironical.
No, is this a long-standing inside joke here on the pod?
No.
I mean, it's long-standing lore of Prem, the old Pickford.
The old Pickford.
The old Pickford. No, I didn't even think about that, to be honest.
That's what we thought you were talking about as a Liverpool fan. You're talking about
no, this weekend I thought there was an offsides call where a goalie came out and hit a player and he was injured, had to go off. I might be mistaken, but I know those offsides flags are taking eons to come up.
It totally could have happened. That is one thing I wish that they would change, because it's like a guy gets him behind and he's sprinting to goal and there's a defender sprinting at full speed, and say that defender pops his hammy. It happens. And then it was always offside. Just call it when it's off. Like, the fact that they are told to wait till they shoot, I think I've never liked that rule, and this rule was in place even before VAR, because they basically wanted to like let things essentially play out to see what would happen. And I've never been for it. I'm not about that life.
It was Rui Patricio last year. So maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Maybe that's what you're thinking of. Because in the Wolves-Spurs game, I don't think there was anything, at least not involving Rui Patricio. So I don't know. In general, it's weird to say, because after multiple seasons of this podcast kind of hating VAR and just being sick with it, I think they've actually probably found a really good balance. And one of the things I wonder if the FA looked at how Europe and South America, how UEFA and CONMEBOL dealt with their international tournaments this summer, because they were both done so much better in the Euro. I think I was with Jeff and we were watching a game and they like did a VAR check and it was over in like 5 seconds. It wasn't like 30 or 40 seconds, which I know you're like, what's the difference between 5 seconds and 40 seconds? Well, it's like 8 times longer. Like, it kills the game. And then you get to the halftime and you're adding 4 or 5 minutes and it's like, oh, why? It's like, well, they had to review every single little thing. So I wonder if the FA sat down, they're like, the way they did it was what we need to adopt. Let's look at like best practices and things that are working. Because that was like, I don't know, I enjoyed watching both those tournaments. And
I mean, the most telling thing about Euros especially was there wasn't one English ref in the Euros.
It's true.
Interesting to think about.
Yeah, I mean, I think English refereeing is pretty poor. I think they really needed to sit down and take a long look in the mirror after last season, because it was brutal. The number of penalties that were given was just out of control. And like, if you took away penalties from the leading goal scorers in the league, the leading goal scorers wouldn't necessarily change. I memean, Kane would still have 17, I think, but DCL would have had 13, and it's crazy to think that like how many Bruno Fernandes had just last season. I mean, he's a great player, but like he had a lot of penalties, and whether they were just, I mean, that doesn't really matter at this point, but I agree. I think last season what we really touched on, and I think we both talked about this, was that if you had fans in the stadiums with the amount of VAR calls, it just wouldn't have been tolerated.
It wouldn't work. And fans, I feel like the globe over, people are very on short tempers the world over. People have lost their job.
Especially with VAR.
Well, especially with VAR. But the more global sentiment, people have lost their job. Millions of people have died from this virus, et cetera, et cetera. And then you have fans back in the stadium. And I feel like we're at this crazy boiling point. And I'm not sure if you guys saw some of the scenes that came out of the Marseille-Nice game, but that was tough to see.
I was just about to say, speaking of boiling point.
Yeah, because, Payet's going to take a corner, ex-West Ham, and he gets beamed with a bottle, turns around, throws the bottle back, and within 45 seconds after that, 60 fans just go at him and some of the other players, and it just kind of turns into melee. I don't even know if they finished that game, but
they did not finish the game, and Marseille was given a 3-0 loss because of it, because they refused to come out. So now the question becomes, if your fans start throwing stuff at you and you don't feel safe coming back out onto the field to play, do you immediately have to take a loss? So that ruling could really affect, and hopefully it's reversed. I think it should be reversed. No one should be penalized from being. No one should be penalized from being beamed with a bottle. So yeah, a draw or maintain whatever result is currently standing. I don't know what the rules are on that, but
yeah, it's an interesting kind of a gray area. I just think whenever possible, if you can. So explain that game more. So it was the Marseille-Nice game. Was it in Marseille?
Yes,
it was in Marseille.
No, sorry, it was in Nice.
It was in Nice, but it was the Nice fans that
the Nice fans that threw the bottles at Marseille, and then they refused to come back out.
Marseille refused because they're like, hey, our safety's in question.
Our safety's in question. We're not coming back out. And so they were awarded the 3-0 loss. So if Nice fans can throw hands, Nice gets to win 3-0.
That's really, okay, now I understand the context. That is super unfair. And I think whatever fan group it is, whether home or away, that team should be deducted 2 points on the table.
I agree with
2
you.
Points
it's the
are
same
gone.
sanctions as the yellow cards.
Yeah, just
they just
2
need
points
a
are
firmer
gone.
punishment.
Yeah, they need to come up with an equal punishment that will create consequences to hopefully curb behavior, because that's the only way we humans work.
Imagine if a scenario like that made your team go from a Champions League place to a Europa League place.
Yeah, I mean, every point in the Premier League is worth, I think it's 1.8. This was years ago too, and inflation has changed everything because the market's crazy. But it was 1.7 million. $1.7 million or pounds.
Wow.
Every single point. Because the more points you accrue, you're more likely, obviously, to stay up and not get relegated. And then the closer you get to the top, you get better whatever you get. And obviously, you get money in everything that you finish. So, all in all, the TV rights of staying in the Prem, the overall rights, the jersey sales, you can bump your ticket sales up. It's like
plus Europa League, Champions League,
League, and you're in the League Cup. So every single point matters. I would love to start seeing if a fan, the Liverpool fans were chanting some homophobic shit. Okay, Liverpool, you just lost a point.
Exactly.
And that way, when it starts in the stadium, somebody will always say, hey, we want to make Champions League. And if you did this shit last year, we wouldn't have made Champions League. Or we would have been right on the even closer than we were. Because I think if people aren't going to self-police and kind of self-regulate, telling a group of fans to do something, they're going to do the opposite because it's the mob mentality. So anyway, let's move on and look at the week coming up. We got week 3, and this is the week where we will start to dig into the ground for Arsenal's.
Hold on a second. I know you love talking about Arsenal and their demise.
Oh, I love talking about Arsenal and their demise?
I think we all love talking about Arsenal.
Yeah, don't put your
demise.
evils on me.
What did I say?
Don't put your evils on me.
When Arsenal lose, everybody wins.
Exactly. Including Arsenal fans, because they're so self-deprecating at this point.
They love it. It's attention.
They're one step closer to finding a new team.
Jesus. Okay, can I talk about Arsenal?
There's a lot of teams in London. I mean,
can I talk about Arsenal?
No, we didn't talk about Spurs or Chelsea at all this week.
But we can talk about them.
We didn't talk about
we did the preview.
Talk about Lukaku. We didn't talk about.
I would love to talk about Lukaku.
Dele Alli.
Can we do it in the preview for this week?
Sure.
And also, I like how you just equated Dele Alli to Lukaku. Cute.
Oh, you didn't equate. I just said.
You said in the same breath.
Okay, whatever. One plays for Spurs, one plays for Chelsea.
No, I mean, I think Dele Alli's deeper in the streets than Lukaku. So
Pirate Deli.
Pirate Dele. Anyways, we're gonna start to dig the hole that we're gonna bury Mikel Arteta in. This we're getting deeper. Did you guys see the thing I posted on the Bolos story? It was this dude losing his mind, like, "Oh, get Arteta out. He's shit, mate. He's shit." He's just like freaking out.
He was having a bad day.
He was having a rough day.
Oh yeah.
Maybe he like bet on that match. He's like, "Oh, we're gonna beat, or whatever. We're gonna beat Chelsea." I was like, "Whatever." So they play City, and that's at the Etihad. So they're gonna lose that game.
Yes.
And then the week after, and I know I'm gonna skip ahead. They play. I'm pretty sure they play Norwich, which is not gonna be an easy game. So my thing is like, when they get blown out by City, because they will, I think the chances of them winning this game are honestly about 4%, and tying is probably 5%. So they have less than 10% to take anything out of this. City are just a steamroll. They know they can't lose these points. They're not, and they're at home. They're brutal to beat. So when they lose this game, what happens? Nothing. Cam?
When they lose this game, I mean, they're going to keep reshuffling their players. They're going to keep trying new things, and nothing is going to change. It's a mentality problem that they have.
Okay, so what's the mentality they have, and what's the mentality they need?
They're just like rolling over. They're like soft. Who in this team is going to do what Jordan Henderson does? Grab someone by the scruff of their jersey and push them where they need to be. Who does it?
Not Mari.
Leno's going to come up from the goalkeeper and grab him and do it. Who's going to do it?
You know, I never thought about that, but they literally on field don't have
Xhaka?
Well, see, Xhaka's like the enforcer, but he has no skill. So he's just
but
always
even as
like,
a personality, I think this season is when they needed him to step up, and we just aren't seeing that.
Well, Xhaka's a weird case because they've been trying to offload him for years. No one took him, and then they ended up giving him a longer contract or like
it's just a year extension.
It's
but
just
he's kind of a thug. He's good for a yellow. I don't like Xhaka. Honestly,
very few Arsenal fans do like Xhaka. I've been texting with multiple Arsenal fans during the Chelsea game, and they're like, "Why is he still on this team?"
He had a good Euro, and I think they were like hopeful he would bring that into Arsenal. And I think a lot of people have said that, but it just
he's just not that.
His quality's not there.
Yeah, he's not that guy.
They want him to be something that he isn't.
What do you think scoreline for this game, Jeff?
4-1.
Cam?
For Man City, yeah, I think 4-1 is safe. Maybe 5-1 if there's Jesus starts scoring.
It's if what are we saying on KDB? Is he back? What's the deal with him? He didn't play
on
last
the bench.
Week. On the bench, okay.
He's on the bench, but
they don't really need him. That's the thing.
They're so good. They're so fluid.
He
obviously is a game changer, but
here's a question for you guys. Do you think that with the quality that Man City has just throughout the team, do you think they can afford to go and buy a young striker to fill that Harry Kane-sized hole to see if it pays off?
How much money?
How much do they spend on everyone? 60 million.
Like 60 to 80, I think, is what
60
they...
to 80. I think they need someone up top that's going to score 15 goals. In order to win the Premier League, you need someone up there putting in, like I say all the time, probably 18 to 25 goals. But because they really spread their goal scoring out, I think they only need about 15 in the league.
They also didn't get scored on that much last season.
They had a lockdown
the second
defense
comings
with Diaz,
of Stones,
and they made Ederson actually look like a good goalkeeper, which I think that they totally should. I don't know who they're going to get though.
I also am thinking that they're going to go big or go home because they want to win now, as opposed to 5 seasons from now when all their defenders are aged out and they can't, perform the way they want to. So there is that as well.
I'd be surprised with everything you just said. I totally. You got to strike when the iron's hot. This is a team that was in the semis 2 years ago, the Champions League. They were in the final last year. They were a complete brain fart away from that goal that when Havertz scored. All 4 of the defenders literally made the wrong decision in the exact right time for that goal to happen. I think that's why I still think that they may pull down Kane, because they're going to say, look, if we don't do it this year and we don't get him this year, that thing that's happening in Paris is only going to get worse when Cristiano Ronaldo goes there, who has told Juventus today that he wants to leave. Now, he says he wants to come to the Prem and he only wants to go to a team that's in Champions League. The only team he'd go to is United right now. And
Do you think he would find his way to Man City?
No. Just because of what United did for him, and I feel like
I agree with you. I don't think that he should, but would he? becomes
this
question.
is the question, because City could really slot him in and use that. I'm not sure. Gary Neville today on Sky Sports was saying something like he's surprised that United, seeing what happened with City and Kane, that United haven't gone out for him, because he is an English striker, and United like to always have the top English strikers on their team.
That's a great point.
I'm interested to see what happens, but if Ronaldo were to come back, I would assume he would go to United. Not going to Chelsea. We don't need him, and he's not going to fit in. Or he would fit in anywhere. He'd be an asset no matter where.
You don't need him.
But we're doing a different thing. Not going to go to Liverpool. I don't think he would fit actually in with that project, even though I think once again every team would benefit from having him. So he's really left with the two Manchester teams. And now that you've kind of proposed we get a player, I mean, maybe there is a situation where he goes to City. I don't know. It would be like if he went to City and Messi was in PSG, like we'd all need to take a break for a while. It's just weird vibes.
City's going to go out. The only way I can see City going and getting Kane is if they give Spurs 150 plus a player, like a Laporte or Jesus, and they agree to do it, which I don't think either one want to play at Spurs. I mean, nobody wants to play at Spurs.
You want to play at Spurs?
I don't care about playing soccer anymore, but yeah.
I mean, if they signed you to $10,000 a week,
if they offered it to you today, you would take it.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, I could.
Honey, get the kids in the minivan. We got to go out and play with Spurs.
We don't need a babysitter anymore.
I guarantee I'm better than Harry Winks.
Jesus Christ.
Let's bring Harry in here. We have him behind the curtain.
Yeah, bring Harry in. All right, I'll agree 4-1. It's going to be a demolition.
But do you agree with me? Do you think 150 in a player could get it done?
Sure.
I would like that deal.
A good player. Because Tottenham need good players.
Yeah, like a player that could actually start today.
Be interesting.
It would be interesting. I think, yeah.
That's
okay.
the only way I would feel good about it.
Next game, Aston Villa, Brentford. Jeff, I'll throw this one to you. What are you thinking?
Villa's look pedestrian at best.
What do you think?
I think it's a 1-1.
I was going to go 1-1. Cam, what do you think on that?
I'm a Danny Ings fan. I wanted him to succeed at Liverpool, and I know that he's got a lot of the same qualities that he had at
Southampton.
Thank you. I think he's going to carry him 2-1.
Can't score a worldie every week.
Doesn't need to.
Well, bicycle kicks aside, we will move on.
Brighton, Hove, and Everton. Cam?
Oh, this one's
just
got
favorite
1-1 written all over it.
I also think I was thinking the same thing as I'm going down. I think it's going to be.
Is Maupay out?
Is who?
Maupay? Is he out? He got a hit in the shoulder pretty bad. Came out of the game. Just curious.
If he's not playing, it definitely affects things because I think going forward he's a problem for defenders. So I'd say either way though. I really think it's probably going to be a tie.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to go 1-1 tie. You guys.
The one player that I really like on Brighton and who Arsenal should have went after instead of Ben White is Basuma.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
What a great player.
Yeah, he's a great player. Any team should go after Basuma. Spurs.
Covers a lot of ground. He's like an Ndidi. He's like a Conte. He's one of those box-to-box guys. They can do a lot of different things. You saw him make that tackle for Maupay's goal last weekend. That's the kind of he's somebody that could potentially fit into like a Klopp system where they're constantly pressing, they're constantly moving, covering a lot of ground. That's the kind of player that you want in a dynamic team like that.
So I think Brighton will tie. I think I agree. Definitely tie.
1-1.
Yeah.
The next game is Newcastle United Southampton. Now I believe I'm putting this information up soon on Instagram, but I believe I picked Newcastle to be relegated, and Jeff, you picked Southampton to be relegated.
Yeah.
This for me is going to be the mini bat game of the week.
Steve Bruce,
because I just have zero desire to watch this game. I'm just like me.
It's going to be slow.
I think Newcastle's a better team than Southampton.
I think Newcastle's a better team, but I don't
Callum
know if
Wilson.
that's like.
They pull goals out of
It's
the
at
butt.
St. James. I'm going to go Newcastle 2-1.
I think that's fair.
It's fair.
It's fair. The next one, Norwich, Leicester. Leicester's coming off, obviously, a beat down from West Ham. Norwich, I think Leicester's going to win this. I think Leicester's coming back with a vengeance, and I wouldn't want to be in their path. Jeff, you look like you don't agree.
Well, I thought Leicester looked awful today.
They did. They had 10 men,
real bad.
and West Ham's like a good team.
Oh,
if you look at
West
the
Ham is
table
good.
right now, they're number one.
Oh, no, West Ham is really good, and it's annoying. But they haven't started playing midweek
So annoying.
games yet. They haven't started playing midweek games yet. It's Trust me, they do not have a second team. They don't have.
They haven't started playing Europa games
and League Cup and
they haven't played
FA Cup.
They haven't played a big team.
Right.
So
let's pump the
So
brakes.
Leicester or Norwich?
Oh, I'm still picking Leicester. But I don't think it's going to be as like clean cut as we all think.
I'm going Leicester 2-0.
Okay, 2-1, but yeah.
Cam?
I think Leicester 1-0. I agree. I don't think they have as much going forward this season, but defensively they still have Soyuncu. They still have like that sturdy defense.
They got Declan in the middle, just doing everything.
Yeah.
I'm going to go next game is West Ham Crystal Palace.
They don't have Declan, they have Madison.
What's you're talking about West Ham?
Oh,
I'm sorry. I'm looking at West Ham talking about
Talking
Leicester.
about Leicester.
No,
Leicester
I
has
thought-
Madison.
Leicester has
I thought there was a
Matters
player I
and
didn't know
Didi.
about.
They've got nice situations. Next game, though, Declan Rice and the Hammers are going to destroy Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace is on a trajectory that is a dark one. I think Vieira will probably not be coaching by December. I'm going to go in this game 3-0 Hammers.
Antonio's firing already.
It's at Hammers. I mean, it's
2-0.
2-0. I'm going 3, Jeff. What do you got?
4-0.
I love it. You love to see
Let's
it.
talk about Zaha for a second.
Where's
Somebody who came on the scene, so much promise, is like the figurehead of this team. How big of a mistake was that, signing him back and then making him this focal point? Do you think he has any of the mentality required to do that, be successful?
So I don't think it's a mistake on Crystal Palace because they like swindled a guy into staying on a shitty team. I think it's a mistake for him to have thought that. I mean, I've been saying for years he needs to be in a top team.
No. This is my take on it.
Wait, hold on. I want to understand what Cam's question though. Are you saying it's a mistake for Crystal Palace or a mistake for him or?
I think
what's
that
the-
it's. I don't know. I don't think he has, like, from a player like that, right? You want somebody that's going to pull the team forward. I think he spends most of his time whining on the field. And I don't think that he really. You see his end product hasn't really improved. He's not really providing assists. He's not providing chances. He's drawing a lot of fouls, but he's also taking a lot of those dives we were talking about, potentially accumulating yellow cards.
He looks for contact, that's for sure. But I also
Certainly.
feel like he's out on the team and he's looking around. He's like, I have 0 people to play with on this team.
And that's totally fair. He doesn't have a lot to work with. That's for sure. But you see other players and other teams that also don't have a lot to work with getting bought for big numbers. Grealish, for instance. I mean, I know Aston Villa is a good team, but he's clearly the diamond in the middle.
Here's the thing. Crystal Palace lock him down in the hopes that another team comes in and tries to pick him up for a transfer fee that's going to help their club sign a couple more players. That could be the tactic. The fact that nobody's inquired about him to hit his release clause or to hit whatever number that Crystal Palace needs to hit to get rid of him is telling about Zaha as a player and like what he adds to a team. I think he would help a lot of teams, I think, especially those like fringe, like the teams like Spurs that are going to be battling for a Europa League this year.
Spurs and Arsenal could totally benefit from having a guy like that on the field.
Yeah.
And that's true. Maybe having just more big names around him make him feel, at this point in his career, more like likely to rise to the occasion. I know he didn't have that effect at Manchester United, but he was young. So
he was young, and I think when he was at United, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Alex Ferguson was there, and there was like some stuff off field that I think he rubbed people the wrong way, and United at that point was just not dealing with any prima donnas. So it's just a different thing. The next game though is going to be fire. Oh, so West Ham. So we had 4-0, 2-0, and 3-0. Yeah, I mean it's going to be brutal. The next game is Liverpool Chelsea. This is a big game for both teams because it's kind of going to be the first real test, I think, for both teams, and it's at Anfield. And I'm interested to see if Anfield is a fortress once again. What are your thoughts on this game, Cam?
this is going to sound a little bit pessimistic. I honestly think Chelsea stretches the team so much nowadays, it's going to be either like a 2-1 situation or a 1-1 situation. I know it sounds like I'm hedging my bets, but I don't think this is going to be
2-1
like
Liverpool?
2-1 Chelsea.
Okay.
Or a 1-1 situation because of how good Chelsea are at spreading the field right now and how like focused Liverpool are in their wingbacks. In Tsimikas and Trent, I mean, I know that they're going to be pinned back by Chelsea, and then the whole team kind of will lose its luster that way. Now, if they can, and they can counter Chelsea's ability to control a game like that, we'll see. But I think Chelsea are going to have the upper hand, especially with Lukaku being able to absolutely occupy Virgil van Dijk all game, and it's going to allow them to go up Matip.
One of the things that I was texting with Drew Williams, who's an Arsenal fan, throughout the Arsenal-Chelsea game, and if you watch the game, and I was like kind of noticing this, but he pointed it out. Drew's a phenomenal coach. He sees everything, and he's also a center back, and so he's like, when you watch the game, Lukaku literally wouldn't go near holding. He was just standing next to Pablo Mari. Even when Chelsea had the ball, he would just run next to him. And when they didn't have the ball, he was just always within about 5 yards away from Pablo Mari. And so Tuchel must have just said, just basically go mark him, because you know you can turn him 9 out of 10 times. He's going to get in the book. He did get in the book. And it forced holding to be. It was like a mind game. It was a weird thing. And I wonder if they're going to do something similar where he's going to stay away from Van Dijk. Because why would you?
Very possible, true.
It's very possible, and which will open up Van Dijk to probably win maybe the first ball, and that ball that comes in the feet, and if Lukaku goes to it, it opens up everything. And see, I really feel like that Arsenal game, and I'm going to answer the Liverpool quandary soon, but I really feel like that Arsenal game was over before it started, because we were going to play a 3-5-2, and Arteta knew we were going to do that, because we don't have Thiago Silva, and if we're playing a decent team, we play 3 in the back, because that's the only way we can kind of do it. And he didn't set up to get ready for that. And like you said, I'm interested to see what Klopp does after seeing what we did to Liverpool, because all over the field, this week against Liverpool, like I'm interested to see how he solves the problem, because all over the field, we literally had an overload, because we'll play in 3-5-2 this week. So they'll play 4-3-3 probably. Liverpool will play something like that. In the midfield, we're going to have 2 more guys. In the back, we're always going to have 1 more person, and then when the wing backs drop, we have an overload. And then only up top do we not have the same thing, but if we push guys up super quickly, we're overloaded. So it's a perfect balance. If you play 3-5-2 right, and Chelsea's currently executing it to perfection, I'm interested to see, too, how Liverpool deal with that. Because Liverpool normally are on the outsides, they're able to create space and get the overlaps. And if they can't do that, and like you said, if the 2 outside backs are pinned back by our wing backs, they're going to be in serious trouble. So we'll see. I'm going to go 2-1 Chelsea. I'll go 2-1 Chelsea. Jeff, is that?
Yeah, I think it kind of comes down to personnel and matchups. And so I'm never really quite sure. I mean, Chelsea has such depth now, and I think they're trying to integrate guys back in after Euros and after international stuff. And so I don't think Silva will be playing. I think it's going to be Christensen again as center back. I'm not like totally sold on Alonso over Chilwell. I'm not sure. I mean, obviously he's been playing well, but I don't know if the matchup on this weekend is a good matchup for Alonso.
I think Chilwell will start. You asked me that last week. I think Chilwell will start just because of speed. Alonso's not a good defender.
He's not a no.
Especially with the pressure from Salah.
And you know what? Alonso has quality, and like he's had some flashes of but like he just doesn't impress me as like a good Chelsea player, and I think it's fine for him to play these early games, but I don't think he's the solution for left wing back, and I think Chilwell is the solution like long term, and like it is kind of crazy. He's playing. I think Tuchel's playing the hot hand a little bit with Alonso, because Alonso has been playing kind of well, but he could get exposed this weekend against a good team.
Yeah, I mean, Alonso's played a couple games now, but when it came down to it in the Champions League final, we played Chilwell.
Yeah.
And so we'll play Chilwell this weekend because we need a win at Anfield to really kind of say, hey, we're here and we're serious about this title race. So,
in my opinion, and I think when we had Evan Chung on the podcast last season, I think Reece James is a difference maker, and he was the difference maker.
Scored a worldie. I mean, it was a nice goal.
Yeah, he scored a worldie and had the assist for Lukaku's goal. So I think he sets up a lot of that attacking on the right hand side. He's playing pretty well. I think he's fit and he'll start, and I think that's might be the difference maker in this game. I don't necessarily think that Chelsea's going to win, or I think it's going to be a tie. I think it's going to be a 1-1 tie. But I could see them
at a 1-1 tie though. It's going to live up to all expectations because it's going to be back and forth. It's not going to be a game where either team's going to sit and just let it happen. I think Reece James has a chip on his shoulder. I think Chilwell does too, because both those guys were basically snubbed throughout the Euros and they weren't used, even though weeks before they won the Champions League as like 22, 23-year-old kids. So I think this season, Reece James is only going to continue to get better. And he signed a long-term contract with Chelsea, so it's exciting.
I agree. He's got everything.
He's got everything.
So good.
He's got everything, and he's got just a positive mentality. And his sister also plays for Chelsea. I mean, that family is deep invested in Chelsea. Next game, Burnley Leeds. I got Leeds in this game just because I think Burnley are getting rallied, and I got Leeds 2-0. Cam, you agree?
I think it's going to be a Leeds 1-0
Because they're away.
And it's just they always have question marks at the back, so there are going to be chances from Burnley, but Burnley just aren't great really anywhere. And they have a couple of world-class players on Leeds somehow. I mean, you saw what Rafinha did last weekend. Like, that man's going to get bought this season.
Rafinha's gone this summer. I don't see how he stays. He's going to just go to an Everton or a Tottenham or an Arsenal or a Leicester, maybe even honestly like a City if it's right and they offload some players and they make some changes.
He wouldn't go to Arsenal.
You don't think so?
No, I think if people are going to start throwing around numbers or with rumors, he's going to go to a Champions League team.
So Spurs?
Or like a Europa League team. No, I don't think Spurs wouldn't spend the money on him. Spurs are cheap.
I was
Spurs
trying to imply you guys would be in the Champions League.
Oh, no, we won't be in
Oh,
the Champions.
no.
Oh, no. Oh, no. We will be in like maybe the Europa League, maybe.
The Conference League?
It's just they can't sign a player.
Do you think 1-0's fair? It's at Turf Moor.
No, I think it's gonna be 2-0. I think Bamford signed a long-term contract this week. I think that Ayling's been only getting better every week. I think they struggle at the back a little bit, center back. I think that's their big.
Well, good thing they're playing Burnley.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I say 2-0. They got good things moving forward.
Next game, Jeff, you got Spursies versus Watford. Are you guys going to continue? You're going to go 3-3?
Yeah.
You going to dare us to do over here?
Yeah, I think Kane's going to stick around.
Do you think Kane's going to start?
I think Kane's going to start.
I think Kane's going to start. I think
you know why Kane's going to
start? Kane and Son.
He's not. He's going to try. I think Son's going to be the question mark all week. He came off with reason he got subbed out was he has a hamstring niggle, as they say. But I think Nuno's goal is to play two up top, Kane and Son.
If you have Kane and Son and you have Mora on one side and you have Adama Traore on the other.
Oh, we're talking a Traore right now?
Well, Traore is in the pipeline.
He's not in the pipeline.
To come to Spurs.
They're not getting them. Wolves want a permanent deal. They don't want a loan to buy type of thing.
Yeah.
And Spurs are infamously are these loan to buy deals.
Spurs have commitment issues?
No, Spurs have spending money issues.
Not in the stadium.
Not in the stadium, baby.
$1 billion of debt.
It's interesting to think about it after this game too, where Adama was missing a lot of shots, especially
yeah,
against
that's the guy
Spurs.
we want. That's the
guy we want.
You know what? He missed a lot of open shots. Let's put it on him.
You know what? Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Maybe
put some better quality players around him. I think he might be the problem.
Mean, when you go 1-0 on the 1-1 on the keeper, it doesn't matter what play. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Whatever. Scoreline. What do you think?
Oh, it's Watford, right?
It is Watford, and you guys are at home. I mean, I got you guys 2-0.
2-0, yeah.
I was gonna say 2-0 too.
It's 2-0.
Spurs at home is a hard place to play.
For
other teams.
For a team like Watford, for sure.
For a team like Watford. For a team like City.
A team like Watford that has cryptocurrency backers, essentially.
Dogecoin.
Last game is Wolves, Manchester United. This is going to be a good one because United just slipped up this past week. Wolves, obviously, they'll always bring a game, and it's at Molineux. I'm going to go Wolves 1-0. I think it's going to be a shocker. And I think it's also going to kind of put United in looking in the mirror a little bit and saying, all right, if we actually want to be serious about this and we actually want to be competitive, we can't mess around this year. Because a team like Wolves, they kind of need to get, minimum 2 points, which is a way of saying they need 3 points. So, is that crazy, Cam?
I think Man United is the kind of team that plays up against good opposition and plays down against bad opposition. So I think they're going to play good against Wolves, and I think they're going to win 2 or 3-0. Because their defense has been good. Harry Maguire knows what he's doing back there.
So they're going to rise to the pressure
they're going to rise.
Give them.
Wolves is going to come at them hard early, and they're just going to come back. They're going to get one somehow and then cruise to a 2-0
victory.
Agree with that.
Ooh, All right, well, we'll see. Maybe I'll put.
I like Wolves. Don't get me wrong. I like Wolves, and I want them to play well. I think they have a lot of quality there, but I just think Man United's going to turn it on.
I also think Wolves have finishing issues. They don't have.
Agreed.
I don't think Jimenez is quite there yet. I think he'll get there. He might get there this season, but that skull injury.
Yeah, that'll mess you up.
It'll mess you up. Yeah, it'll put the niggle in your brain about.
It's a doozy.
It's a doozy.
All right, quickly, I want to go through fantasy. I am out of the last place, and I've actually jumped Jeff by 1 point. Whoa! It's your boy. In top 3, Jamie Becker with Hangover 96. Number 2, Mitch with El Diez de Julio, and Oz is in 3rd place. Everyone, the champion himself is coming for everyone slowly.
So what you're saying, Jarrett, is I should set my lineup this week.
Sure.
I forgot to do that last
Good job,
week.
Oz.
Yeah, you should probably.
Shout out to Oz.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Oz kicked the crap out of us last year, but everyone's looking good. Oz is not running away with it. And last year after week 2, it was like, this is kind of over. That's all we got for fantasy. Cam, thank you for coming down into the barbershop. As you can see, he was complimenting our nice chairs.
Thank you for having me, fellas.
Well, maybe, come back later on in the season.
Now all I need is a haircut.
That's it.
Come back for a haircut.
Pull out my barber shears.
Exactly. Pull out your shears, Jeff.
Pull out my shears.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Ciao.
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 Thanks for listening to the Boys and Bolos podcast. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, Twitch at Boys and Bolos.
If you'd like to be a guest, please reach out. You can hit us on any of the social media accounts that Jeff just mentioned, or email us directly at boysandbolos@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening, and see you next time.